Bitcoin is sitting in a pattern that not many people are seeing right now, and that is an ascending broadening wedge. These charts, side by side, look pretty much the same, and it's really interesting that the chart on the left is October to December of 2020, and the chart on the right is October to December of 2023 this year. And we are sitting in a very similar setup where Bitcoin has an impulse up and then creates a rising broadening wedge where then we break out. And now Bitcoin, impulse up, rising broadening wedge. And so we're going to be talking about the pattern that nobody is seeing in today's video. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is November 30th and it is Thursday. We're getting towards the end of the week. We have the monthly candle close coming right up, and Bitcoin is sitting in a possible bullish pattern. Now, there is a potential that this could end in a bearish way, or just like we had back in 2020, it ends with a continued uptrend. And we're going to talk about how to identify which is likely to happen and what we need to look for to maybe give us a clue on whether it's going to result in bullishness or bearishness. Because if you look at the textbook definitions, you can see they show both outcomes, because these patterns can act in multiple ways, just like any pattern, where we have the ascending broadening wedge acting as continuation, where we break above the resistance there, and the trend just continues bullish. And also this can act as a top pattern, where you have an ascending broadening wedge, you hit that final point on the top of the resistance before breaking the support at the bottom, then resulting in a top, a reversal. So it can be reversal pattern or continuation pattern. And there's a lot of examples looking throughout history here. Now let's go back to the Kraken Pro chart here. This is the daily chart for Bitcoin. By the way, guys, sign up for Kraken Pro if you haven't already. You can actually use a lot of the paid tools and indicators on TradingView for free on Kraken. They have a bunch of them in there that if you sign up for Kraken, if you haven't already, definitely sign up for Kraken and use Kraken Pro. Link is below. So Bitcoin here with a breakdown of the RSI while price maintains support. So this was not a confirmed bearish breakdown. A lot of times these RSI breakdowns do result in some pretty significant moves down, like this RSI uptrend here. You can see at the bottom of the screen, when we break that RSI uptrend, a flush, but that's only because we also broke the trend line, right? So if you break the RSI trend without a trend line break, well, then it could still remain bullish, just like 2020, the rising broadening wedge that we had there. So Bitcoin is in this rising broadening wedge on the daily, and it's looking like we probably are going to have at least another test to the upside to complete this pattern. Because if you look at a lot of these textbook diagrams, there's at least 3 touches, A, C, E, right, on this diagram. There could be many more. But if we're looking at Bitcoin now for this rising broadening wedge, we've had 1, 2. So I would say there's going to be at least one more touch of the resistance. And right now for Bitcoin, we do have a ascending triangle within this rising broadening wedge. So the breakout zone to get to that next target will be quite obvious. If you look at the RSI, if you look at the resistance, Bitcoin is now sitting or possibly even breaking above the RSI resistance, but there hasn't really been a reaction yet. Breakouts are easily confirmed by looking at a reaction in the market, right? Price has not reacted, RSI hasn't reacted, but if we get an RSI breakout here, right, we push above this downtrend, instead of making lower highs, we start making higher highs again on the RSI on the daily. Well, that's probably going to mean that we're breaking above the ascending triangle resistance, and then we would be looking for a test up to the top of our rising broadening wedge. And of course, there's no exact pinpoint target, but the general zone is around 42,000. You could say that around 42,000 is about where that target is coming in. So the top of the rising broadening wedge, 42,000. And if we break out of this RSI downtrend here and start pushing up again, that's likely going to give us that breakout of the ascending triangle, reaching 42,000. And from there, then we have to be looking at the structure of the rising broadening wedge, because if we reject this zone and come back to support and we fail to hold this support line, well, that might actually mean that we are entering a sort of reversal zone for Bitcoin, that this could lead to a breakdown where we test lower levels before moving into 2024, before getting bullish again, moving into the halving. If we did see a pullback, I think we would probably quickly recover. As you can see, right now when Bitcoin has just been up here at these levels, there hasn't been demand for selling, right? You can see on the chart, higher lows, higher highs. There's been a lot of buy action. There's been a lot of demand for Bitcoin. The sellers aren't taking these prices right now. So the market is agreeing at this level. So I think that the demand in the event of a pullback is going to be very high. So you could be looking for like this area here where the rising broadening wedge began as a target zone on a potential dip after hitting 42,000, the top of the rising broadening wedge. You know, something along these lines, the target being about 33,000 or so, before running up and getting very bullish in 2024. That would be the bearish case for me. This is sort of the most bearish case, in my opinion, that's possible right now, which isn't really all that bearish. Presents one final flush to knock out the late longs, and it provides a final dip buy opportunity before going ballistic with ETF approvals and halving and all this stuff. Again, this is just in theory, right? First of all, from here, I am bullish up to 42,000. And we don't have to break down, guys. It doesn't have to be a top pattern, right? That's just one possibility, as you see on this diagram. There's just one possibility from the textbook, right? But the other possibility is that we get a continuation pattern, just like we had in 2020. And interestingly enough, in 2020, it was this exact period, October to December, where we had the impulse up rising broadening wedge with continuation, as this textbook image right here is showing. It doesn't have to be a top. I just explained it because it could be, right? Rising broadening wedges are often top patterns, but how will we know if it's not? Well, if we hit 42,000 and reject and come back to support, and we consolidate right there, remain above that trend line, and we don't get a quick rejection here, or a breakdown, I should say, well, this is probably going to result in a major continuation, major bullish price action. And another possibility, another way to know if it's going to be bullish or not, or at least be more sure if it's going to be bullish, is if we get up to that 42,000 zone and we don't reject it. And if we break above this resistance here, well, then it's no longer a rising broadening wedge, and then it just becomes an extremely bullish trend, right? So if we get above 42, we hit 42, break above resistance, that's bullish. If we hit 42, reject, and maintain the trend line, that is also bullish. Just hold that, consolidate, push up again. It's only when we break this trend line, guys, that we could flush to that 33,000 zone, which would be, you know, coming in along that previous resistance area. It would be a fantastic dip buy opportunity. And once again, just seeing how there's so much demand for Bitcoin, the price can't come down right now. If we get below this current zone on a dip, it's going to get bought right back up. So in any case, every chart I've drawn here eventually points up somehow. The point is, this is all short-term, medium-term type of forecasting that I'm doing. Ultimately, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. The worst case is we hit 42, reject back to 33, and then look to go bullish again. So I hope this all makes sense. This is the pattern that no one's really seeing right now. Just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention. And if you value this kind of content, smash the like button. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter as well. I'm posting charts on there. Be sure to sign up for Kraken Pro. That is the platform that I'm using. And also sign up for Patreon if you want to get extra content and see what altcoins I'm buying, all that kind of stuff, all that kind of extra spicy stuff is in Patreon. And I'll see you guys in the next video.